This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
Today's episode is powered by Natural Effects. Natural Effects has all different types of CBD products. They have oils, hemp flower, muscle recovery gel, Delta 8 gummies, and their new CBD seltzers. They're sold throughout the tri-state area in smoke shops, convenience stores, gas stations, and liquor stores. Also, check out naturaleffects.net and use the code PG15 for 15% off. That's naturaleffects.net and use the code PG15 for 15% off. Go check them out. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. We got a special guest host, Michael Carter Williams, and our special guest today is UFC fighter Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel, how's it going?
Good, man. Happy to be here and get to finally talk to you guys. I know we've been trying to do this for a while.
Nah, definitely.
Good.
I'm happy we finally got together to do this. I got questions for every fighter I meet. Like I said, I'm just a fan in general. So I like first I always like to ask guys how did you get into fighting? Like, was there a moment in your life where your parents fighters? Did you watch somebody? Like, what gravitated you towards wanting to fight?
My experience coming into this MMA game was really like just street experience, just being in the street and obviously, being a little knucklehead out there, getting locked up when I was 15 and up until that point, like really, I didn't really like fighting, until I started going to juvenile hall and like the boot camps and like little placement homes and stuff like that, where I really just kind of got kind of cold-hearted for a little bit, and even up until like, my going to LA County Jail and spending so much time there, being in and out, I got into a lot of shit out there. So I kind of had this little street fighter, mentality and style coming into the sport, that when I first walked into the gym, the coaches were like, man, the guy got some raw fucking, yeah, he got that raw,
Oh, yeah. Sure.
They just paid a lot of attention to me. And, little by little, I became the main focus in the gym. I always felt like before I started getting in trouble and all that, like I used to play, I was like quarterback for like flag football. Like I grew up in the projects and shit, like both my parents, like both gang members. And, that's kind of like the footsteps I was like supposed to follow. But, I kind of fell away from sports, because we moved around a lot. My mom was like single moms and stuff. And I was never able to really just settle down and really just, get it going, So from hood to hood, I learned a lot of like, a lot of fighting experience, a lot of survival stuff, So that's really what it was up until like I said, 24, 25 years old, where I decided, I was like, started having kids. Well, I had my first kid. Like, all right, some shit's got to change. I got to do something. I even tried to like get into the Marines. I didn't even try to go to the Marines and shit. I tried to do anything I could. But, at that point I had fucked it all up. And my only option was construction. And I was working at a construction site in downtown LA, and I would like get off work and I'll pass by this gym. It was called Tap Out. And I'll tell my girl, I'll be like, man, like, I want to do that shit. Like, I love it, because I remember this one time I had got out of jail and my cousin was like, yo, come watch this fool named Rampage. Like, come watch this fool named Rampage. He's going to fight tonight. And that was the first time I saw UFC. And I was like, man, this is way better than just boxing. Like these fools are kicking, elbowing, taking down. And like, there's so much more to it. And I just fell in love with the sport. And then, I started going to the gym and I just had nothing but street mentality. And, it's got me like 9 years later from walking into a gym, I'm one of, getting well known in the UFC.
Yeah, no, that I think that mentality, like you said, having that street mentality and then it channeled in the right direction. Like, you could be, a dangerous human being in the sports world, with that, because that mentality, you really can't teach that. Like, you got to go through it. You know what I mean? You got to you have to go through hard times and, see things that normal people don't see. So, when that's kind of channeled in the right direction, I feel like it's damn near unbeatable.
Yeah, man. A lot of times, even the announcers will be like, man, he looks so calm in there. Or like my coaches, and they'll be like, man, he looks like he's calm in there. Like I just have no emotion towards it because, I've been through worse situations than just this little Like, you know, I've been in a situation where, like, I've been in a fight with my cellmate in jail. Like, that's a whole different shit, you know. And I think, like, I carry that, you know, and I think about all that stuff sometimes. When I'm backstage, I'm like, man, I made it through all that. I can make it through this, you know. And
yeah, playing with house money now.
man, it's cool. It's cool, you know. It's cool. That's the thing. You get a little bit, you want more, you know.
So, all right, let's get into the little, you know, your last fight. You beat Kevin Lee by unanimous decision. I watched it myself. Great performance by you. You know, you're coming in there as an underdog. Kind of what's that like? You know, I mean, I'm sure it's nothing new to you. You know, I'm sure you've had the mentality of an underdog mentality your whole life. So, you know, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you know, it reminded me of like the time when I first got signed to the UFC. You know, I had fought in the Contender Series and I didn't get signed, you know, and I went on and I did one more fight outside the UFC. And, you know, they hit me up. At the time, I was at Cowboy Cerrone's pad. I was just training, you know, just trying to get better. I didn't want to give up, you know. And I get the call to fight Tim Means on 2 weeks' notice, you know, in his hometown. So I was like, man, this is like,
not light either.
Me in there with a veteran, bro, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he had like 20-something fights in the UFC already. I'm like, man, I just got to go out there and just, you know, just give it all I got, you know? So I stepped in there 2 weeks' notice, huge underdog. And, you know, just like this last fight, I was a huge underdog against, you know, Kevin Lee, you know. He's solid. He's a solid fighter, you know, well-known, been in the game a while. You know, it's kind of like the next level up in competition for me. And, you know, I had just fought like 3 weeks before that, you know, before I got the call. And I was just like, man, I haven't really been that much out of shape, you know, taking like a little, you know, 2-week vacation. And then I had already been a week back into training. And I was like, man, all I got to really do is just go hard the next 2 weeks and then show up and fight, you know. And you know, I was down to accept the challenge. And, you know, no risk, no reward kind of story for me with that one, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I too. The guys that come in on late notice, like sometimes you see in the fights, you know, they just look like they're not, you know, prepared. You're not in shape. Like, you know, they go in there and they, you know, lose, but it's not that big of a deal because you came in on 2 nights' notice. Like, you know, yeah. I think it's cool that you had that mentality. Like, nah, like I'm about to win this. You know what I mean? Even though I got 2 weeks, like I'm coming in as shape as I can. So, like I said, as a fan, that's, you know, that's dope. That's dope to see.
Yeah, man. A lot of dudes will step up just, you know, just for the paycheck, you know, but I play to win, you know, and, you know, to step up on 2 weeks notice against Kevin Lee, I had to take the opportunity. I was like, man, I always felt like, yo, at the time, if this is meant for me and I'm you know, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna win and I'm gonna shine and I'm gonna do my thing, you know, if it's, you know, if it's meant to be any other way, then that's how it's gonna be. You know, I was just, that's just like being in the street for me. Like, shit, you never know where you're gonna fight. Like, you never know. Like, this is like different. Like, fools are getting ready for it, you know. Yeah. But the thing with me is like, shit, I could be walking down the street and someone's trying to fight me. Like nowadays, a little different circumstances and shit, you know. Oh man, you don't even know what you're getting yourself into, dog. You know what I mean? But back in the day, when I was walking down the street, I used to get jumped by my enemies, you know, and I would never back down. I would always be willing to fight. You know, I think that I carry that into the UFC, and I think that's what fans want to see, man.
Yeah, for sure. I know you had a little bit of a hand injury. You know, how was that, you know, recovery, and what do you think that, you know, when do you think you want to get back in there and against who?
Man, well, currently I'm kind of like in a little situation where I'm scheduled to have another surgery on my hand December 8th, and the reason for that is like I got really impatient. You know, I'm like as you could tell by me being in the UFC, having so many fights at such little time, like I'm always in the gym, I'm always, you know, in shape and ready to go. And this is the first time I ever like had to like, you know, really let myself heal, you know, and it's really hard, you know. So I got really impatient. I went back to training on my own without you know, nobody knowing, just doing it on my own. And I ended up re-injuring my hand, and you know, that's just by being impatient and not taking the time. But that's just like me being hungry, you know. I'm trying to stay in the game, you know. In my mind, I'm like, man, I fight at the highest level in the game. Like all these dudes are getting better, and I can't just stay. So I got really impatient, you know, and I got in my head, and I went and started training again, messed myself up. And right now I'm in a position where I have to decide whether I get the surgery, and it's gonna take, you know, even a little bit longer healing time. And in my mind, I'm like, damn, like I already been off this long. I feel like I'm getting out of shape, you know. And on the other hand, I got dudes like Kevin Lee calling me out, you know, and you know, I already in my mind, like I had like two sides of me. One side is like, man, you already fought this many times with a messed up hand. What's one more time gonna do? You know, get paid, get the surgery again, and then chill out, you know.
Yeah.
And then the other part of me is like, man, if you know, I haven't even started training yet, so I don't even know how that's gonna feel, you know. And honestly, I could say I'm leaning towards getting the surgery, but it's just like having a little effect on me because I'm like, man, how am I gonna stay in the game? How am I gonna, like, you know, how am I gonna keep making money?
Yeah, no, I get it. You want to keep making that money. You know, I think it's a good thing too. You've proved yourself that you're real in you know, in this, you know, in the game, right? Like people are, you know, excited for you to come back. So like, it's not like you're heading, you know, it's not like you're not a no-name guy who's injured. And now it's like, no, like when you're ready and when you're time, people are going to be like, oh yeah, he's coming back. Like, you know, he's a for sure watch. He's a contender in the division. So, you know, at least you've made a name for yourself in that regard.
Yeah, you're probably like one of the most active UFC fighters too.
Right, like 7 fights since 2020. Like, not too many guys on that.
Yeah, man. So like I'm saying with that, like it's real hard for me to like take my foot off the gas, you know. But I got to be smarter this time around and think about, you know, my career and stop thinking like since a lot of times I think since I entered the game a little bit late, like 25, I'm 34 now. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna get the clock over here, you know. I was like a few years younger. If I was still like in my 20s, and I'd be like, all right, cool, this is nothing. I'll take a cool 6 months off. But for me, like, man, 6 months is gonna, you know, I'm getting older, dog.
Yeah, for sure.
Ain't that easy.
Yeah, but that means you don't got a lot of mileage on you either.
Yeah.
No, actually, I don't, and I don't like for the most part. My fights, I don't take much damage. I'm not like getting like in those crazy thick ass wars where like we're getting beat up back and forth. You know, my wins are pretty. You know, yeah, they're pretty good. I come out there pretty like touched for the most part.
So I gotta ask you. You got ranked in the top 15 as number 15, but then all of a sudden now they unranked you. So what was that? What was that like to be ranked, and then what happened?
Well, that was like a huge accomplishment for me, being ranked finally. You know, it's just kind of like it goes to show like all the hard work I put into this shit. You know, for me, like on my whole career, I've been like climbing up the ranks. When I was an amateur, I climbed all the way up to number 1 in California. When I was beginning as a pro, I climbed up to number 1 in California, then like number 2 in the country, and then to like enter the UFC rankings, that's a whole nother thing. And then like now, like they put me at number 15. I got bumped down one, but that's cool with me because my name's still in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I'm dealing with this injury, and you know, it's just a time process for me. Like, if anything, like it's gonna help me develop other aspects of my game. I'm like, all right, cool. I gotta lay off. All I gotta do is just lay off hitting motherfuckers with this shit. Mm-hmm. On my left, I still got my jab, kicks, punches, elbows, and I have to start focusing more on my grappling. You know, I feel like my grappling is pretty solid. I just don't really show it, you know, because I love to just, you know, look at the blows.
Yeah. If Kevin Lee isn't doing anything to get you down, there's not many that will. So.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to get me down, but like the way that people hype him up,
it wasn't creating no damage though.
Yeah, it was like for the most part we were locked up, and it feels good to know that he wasn't able to pass my guard or to put me in any like super bad positions, and I was able to recover. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, dude's strong, but a lot of other dudes are too. So, you know, I got a good ass team, and really for me, like I'm just thinking like there's other ways I can elevate my game. You know, there's always shit to learn, especially in mixed martial arts. You know, this is a constant learning process.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So, you know, you said you just were talking about a little bit, you know, different things of how you're going to train now that you're injured. But normally, what does your training regimen look like?
Yeah, normally like when I'm in fight camp, since moving out here to Vegas, one of the main reasons why I moved out here to Vegas is because they have such an amazing like resource. We have such amazing resources, fighters like out here, you know. There's the UFC Performance Institute, you know, where
you ever go over there and use that?
yeah, man, they got it all. You know, they got the food, they got the training, they got therapy, they got the recovery, all the recovery equipment, and you know, as well, there's a ton of gyms out here. Some of the top fighters in the world are out here. And you know, for me, I was training for that Mike Perry fight with Cowboy, and we came out here to Vegas, and he kind of like showed me, like, you know, well, he showed me the Cowboy treatment, you know, but you know, he kind of like opened my eyes to like all the areas I could tap into while I'm out here, and I figured I'd take a year or two out of my life and come out here and focus and try to really develop myself as a fighter, you know, and as well as like as Syndicate. There's like a ton of fighters out there, and that's where I'm mainly training at now. And you know, it's just all room for improvement.
Yeah, no, yeah, it definitely looks like it. So what's some of the like some advice you would give to a young fighter that's, you know, trying to get into the UFC?
Man, I get questions a lot, especially like from younger fighters. I get questioned a lot from dudes that think that it's too late, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Man, I'm like 20 something, like I think it might be too late. I'm like, they'll be like, oh, I'm 24, I'm 22. I'm like, bro, I first walked in the gym when I was 25, you know, and all I knew was just how to street fight, you know. But it's just like, I think it's just, you could be anything you want as long as you put the time and you put the hard work in, you know. I think my advice to any young up and comers is like, yo, you could do this shit, you know. You just have to work your ass off. You got to work hard, you know. Like what you're doing at practice, you know, like that ain't enough. It ain't enough. You gotta get up and you gotta do overtime shit. You gotta like do shit when everybody else is not doing it. You know, that's the only way you're gonna make it. That's the way, you know, how I came up. I was always like, I'll go to like my team practices and shit, but I'll still come home and I'll still like, there's too much. I honestly felt like is that I started late, so I have to work twice as hard as motherfuckers been doing this shit their whole life, you know, just to catch up.
Having that mentality though throughout
the whole, I feel like that'd be my advice to you know, any young fighter is just, man, you're just gonna take time, be patient, just work hard, you know, give it all you got plus more, you know. You gotta do extra, you know. If you really want to make it and you really want to get to the top, then you gotta put in that overtime, you gotta put in extra, you gotta work harder than everybody, you know.
True, yeah, no, true. I wanted to ask, oh, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw 2015 you actually did a couple professional boxing matches, so I wanted to know like what you thought of all this MMA versus boxing now that's happening.
Yeah, definitely say there's the boxing. As far as the boxing, I stopped boxing because I felt like the promoter played me. You know, I saw the dirty side. I saw the dirty side of boxing. You know, and it really is. I did great my first pro boxing fight. I had zero boxing experience. It was at a time where I couldn't get no fights because I was killing the game. You know, I had 4 fights in a row cancel on me. This one fight, guy showed up like 17 pounds over. The next fight, trip out on this. The next fight, the guy got arrested the week before the fight because like I guess he had like murdered his girlfriend or some shit, and like he had her drunk or some shit like that. Another guy didn't even show up to weigh-ins, and another guy just showed up crazy out of weight. And I was like, I almost gave up, man. I was like, man, I can't get a fight. I just like it was at a time where I had to choose either work, are you gonna work, or work construction, or do this fight shit, you know, because it was affecting both. I would like have hard days at work and I'll show up and be like shitty in the gym, or I'll be like, give it all I got in the gym and show up and be tired as hell at work. And it was like causing like, you know, little problems there. Fuck, I forgot I was going with this.
That's all good.
No,
It's
that's
all good.
crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna ask you your favorite song, but I'm more interested to know, like, how do you pick your walkout song? Like, what, like, is it something you spend a lot of time on, or you're just like, whatever? Did you stick with your first one that you've ever chosen? Like, what's the?
Man, I for the most part, I always have a new song. It's kind of like the kind of song that I'm just like listening to in fight camp, you know, because like music,
Nice.
it's always new music, and I'm always listening to new music. Um, Man, honestly, I've been listening to a whole lot of like Young Dolph lately since he passed away.
Yeah, I do that too.
His shit is hard. His shit is
Yeah.
hard. I was listening to Young Dolph before he got shot. You know, so right now that's been like number one on my list. He's he's, you know, rest in peace to him. I'm a huge hip hop fan. You know, every time I come out to a fight, it's nothing but hip hop. You know, I'm always switching up. You know, but it's really like what I'm listening to during fight camp. What's pumping me up? You know, always in different moods.
Yeah, no, true.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
Now I know you were just in Connecticut. So tell me how you originally linked up with our boy James from Natural Effects.
Fuck, with James. I met James over man, it was a while back. It was actually, I think it was after, I don't know when it was, man, but he hit me up, he had hit me up over Instagram. And this was a while back. It was like right after I had won like a championship. Because he was with he was promoting Steve Orozco, which is the founder of Smash Global. And I had won a championship. But I can't remember if we had talked before or after that. But yeah, he started sponsoring me. And you know, I gotta give it to him. A lot of like sponsors come and go, but that guy's like persistent, and he you know, I feel like he's gonna blow up, you know, and I feel like he feels the same way about me. And you know, we just, you know, carry that same kind of like drive. I appreciate that out that guy. You know, he's pushing. He's like trying to make shit happen always. He's always like on the go. He's always trying to make moves, you know, and you know, I appreciate guys like that. You know, I want to see them shine. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's just like, you know, let's link up, let's team up, and let's try to make something happen. You know, I'm trying to make something happen for myself, and I see you like, fuck it, let's do it, dog. You know, and I don't even know this guy. He's on the way in Connecticut, you know, but it's just like the person he is. I fuck with it, and yeah, like we finally linked up. I guess, man, must have been out here in Vegas before I was even living out here. We had linked up and we did like some photo shoot and stuff and met those guys that were cool. He invited me out to Connecticut and I got to meet his family and shit, you know, and got to see a little side of the East Coast. It was pretty cool. Ate some bomb ass food.
You ate that pizza, right?
Yeah, that pizza spot, you know, they gave us a VIP treatment and man, I'll never forget it. It was a good ass time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh. So who's your dream fight? If you could fight anybody, who would it be?
Man, if I could fight anybody, I'd want to fight like a striker. I'd say in my division, someone that like, you know, because, you know, I got a high striking output. You know, I always like when I'm training, I always think in that fights, like, man, when the fights where we're just like fucking each other up, you know, like, you know, like that's what I think about when I'm like, you know, I be thinking about shit like that. Next thing you know, I'm sprinting down the street. Like that shit gets me going. You know, I think as a fighter, we all kind of think about those kind of fights, you know, and I kind of feel like, man, who's someone that could give me a fight like that in this division, you know? There's a lot of options, dude. Of course, I want to fight the champion, you know? That's the dream fight for me. But I think like one of those dream fights would probably be in my division. I say Masvidal. That'd be a good one. Yeah. Or Masvidal would be a good fight. You know, because it'd be like, because he has that kind of that background. We have this kind of have that similar background where he's from Miami, like streets and shit. I'm from LA, like, you know. Or a Nate Diaz fight. That'd be a banger too. Yeah. You know? But yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be a cool fight. I met Nate a couple times. He's real cool. He's real cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I met Nate and his crew a few times. They're solid dudes. Sure. Yeah, that would be a great.
I would just do it just for the hype.
Yeah, he was good. And Nate's always great to fight. Like,
yeah,
he's a pioneer in the sport, man. So
I would do it just hype because I don't like him or nothing, but you know, it's one of the hype fights right there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, I think UFC just might like it might be like one of the only sports where it's just like sometimes the guys don't even care about the belts. Like the bigger fights sometimes are without belts.
Yeah, well, that's what it's starting to become
Yeah.
since Masvidal and Diaz did that fight. And remember when just recently, instead of fighting for the title, Poirier fought fucking McGregor.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, "Fuck the belt, I'd rather fight McGregor."
Yeah.
But we're all looking for them big name, big money fights.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my last question to both of you guys. I think the next UFC like fight is Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Who do you guys got?
I gotta go with my man. I gotta go with my man Rob Font from Boston, baby.
Yeah.
I gotta stick with the hometown.
Yeah, I'm gonna fuck with Rob Font too. You know, just because you know, not just because, but he's a Natural Effects homie. You know, James is talking me up about him, but hey, I'm a huge Jose Aldo fan. You know, he's definitely a legend, future Hall of Famer. You know, held it down, held that belt down for years, you know, and he's still in the game. So shout out to him.
Yeah, I think Rob's gonna use that jab he's got. And then, you know, although he kicks a little bit now, but not like he used to, right? Like I think if he does, you know what I mean? It's you know, that stand-up's trouble. So it's gonna be, but I think Rob wins for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate both of you guys. Appreciate you, Mike, for co-hosting. Appreciate you, Daniel, for coming on. And we're definitely going to be looking out, hopefully early 2022 for your next fight.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for having me. Anytime you guys want to, you know, chop it up, let me know.
Definitely, bro. Appreciate it.